What's up, AG Sports? Guys, I'm going to give you a lot of numbers like I always do, all that stuff. Sit down, get your pencils, sharpen them, get your erasers, get your ass in class on time. Let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to look over here is strength of schedule moving forward. So I think most of you heard in my last video, I'm looking to add a team. I had said the Texans. I'm actually kind of reevaluating that now, but the reason I'm reevaluating that is I want to go based off of strength of schedule and kind of what we expect to happen moving forward. So some of the teams that look to just suck right now, and I mean they're just shitty teams where nobody likes them, even the people living there are trying to distance themselves from it. Those teams, they may be better than what we're seeing because they've just played a lot of really tough games, and that might kind of ease up at some point. And when it starts to ease up, that's when you want to jump on those teams because, expectedly they are going to start winning a few of those easier games and kind of take some people by surprise. The opposite can be true. There can be teams that we think are actually good right now that have just benefited from playing some really shitty teams, and they are going to look a lot worse once they start getting into the harder part of their schedule. So let's take a look and see what happens. So the numbers I'm going to give you right now are based off of weeks 1 through 5, and where their strength of schedule is, compared through weeks 6 through 18, which is the rest of the season. So the first one here I want to bring up is the Colts, and this is one that I had mentioned before. The Colts, as of right now, are looking really bad. They're 1-3, and they're going into this game as an underdog against the Ravens. I actually fully expect them to come out of this week 1-4 with the Ravens getting the win. I don't know if they're going to cover, and I think we went over that already, but I do think the Ravens get the win on this one. What's going to happen after that? Well, weeks 1 through 5, the Colts actually played the number 1 toughest schedule in the NFL. They have the 32nd ranked schedule, which is the toughest. From weeks 6 through 18, it is the exact opposite. They get to play the easiest strength of schedule in the entire NFL. So I'm probably going to be adding the Colts instead of the Texans as far as the team that we want to highlight every week. But this is a team right now everybody is down on, everybody wants to talk bad about, and just kind of instantly fade them, especially when you have guys like T.Y. Hilton missing, Carson Wentz walking like a baby giraffe on 2 broken ankles or whatever the hell he's got. People don't like this team right now, and after this week, I think we can start jumping on that bandwagon, and we'll take a look. Obviously, I'll have the Madden ratings, we'll have the algorithms, we'll have the coaching report cards, all that stuff, just to make sure that we are kind of, we're going to be in sync with all that. But I do expect the Colts to start winning some games here after this week. 49ers is another one where their schedule actually does get easier. So far, they've had the 10th easiest schedule. They're going to have the 7th easiest schedule throughout the rest of the year, after this week, that is. And it's not a huge jump, but it is something to say that a team that is already, good and was expected to be at least decent gets to have just a little bit of an easier schedule from here on out. That's another team where I think I had picked them to win that division just based off their ease, their strength of schedule. If they can get 1 or 2 wins that maybe they shouldn't get, if they were to happen to upset the Cardinals this week, something like that, it's possible still that they get that, they win the division only because their schedule is so easy compared to the rest of that division. Next is the Lions. So the Lions, again, look really bad so far. They actually get to play the 12th easiest schedule. So right now they're 28th schedule, which is the 4th toughest schedule in the NFL so far. After this week, they're going to transition to the 12th easiest schedule. So again, another team that we want to look to back probably, immediately after this week. And again, it's not something I want to blindly start betting on these guys. They're still the Lions. They still suck. Their coach is still, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's a caveman or what, because every time I see him, I just expect him to be in a cave with some sticks and stones and yelling at the wall. That's just what he looks like to me. So I don't think he's the smartest guy in the world, and maybe that's just being stereotypical of me, but that's what I see. So I still don't really like that team, but the fact that their schedule is going to get so much easier is something that I want to look into. The Broncos are the opposite, so this is where we're going to start getting into the teams that are going to have harder schedules. Believe it or not, some of these teams that are looking kind of shitty already are going to get even worse. So the Broncos don't look bad right now. They have had the 4th easiest schedule through this upcoming week, and maybe Teddy Bridgewater's back for this week, maybe he's not, but if he can, I would absolutely have his ass out there. They need to get this win while they still can. After this week, they're going to have the 14th toughest schedule, or the 14th easiest schedule, I guess, in the NFL, which is not super, super difficult. It's kind of, average, right in the middle of everybody else or close to it. So not a huge deal, but when their offense is not as potent as some other teams in that division, they really want to get wins while their schedule lightens up, and it's been as easy as it is because it's not going to get any easier. The Jets are going to go from the 11th easiest schedule to the 16th easiest schedule. So again, not a huge deal. They're not going to be like one of the harder schedules in the division or in the NFL. But for a team that's already not really good, getting any more difficult is just not in the cards for them. It's probably not going to work out well. The Falcons go from the 7th easiest schedule to the 18th toughest or the 18th easiest. Either way, that's again kind of the same situation here. The offense has not looked great as it is. It's going to get harder for them. The Jaguars, this is one that we really want to take a look at because they have had the easiest schedule in the NFL so far, and they're going to transition to the 24th easiest, which is a toughest schedule in the NFL after this week. And that's one of those spots where the Jets and the Jaguars, they are, again, like I was saying before, they're going to consistently get overinflated, and the books and the bookmakers are going to try to give you enough points to incentivize taking these shitty teams. But even as they're doing that, the fact that, yes, they may be giving them another point or two on their side of the book there doesn't compensate for the difficulty increase. So it's going to take even longer for the books to catch up with just how bad these teams are really are, and how bad they're going to look against better competition. Next, though, is the Texans. They go from the 21st easiest schedule to the 27th. Again, not a huge transition there. They were already playing a tough schedule. It's just going to get a little bit harder. That team isn't good. That team, if you ask me, from the GM and just like the corporate level, they're trying to fail. They're trying to get better draft picks and just kind of rebuild from the ground up. They'll never tell you that, obviously, and that's not a decision that gets made by the coaches or the players. That is something from like the offices, like the GM office, and that's where this tanking is done. So the Texans, again, I just keep fading them. The Panthers, and this is one that I really like. The Panthers have had the second easiest schedule through week 5. After this week, they're going to have the 30th easiest, which is the second toughest schedule in the NFL. A lot of people really like the Panthers, especially after this last game with the Cowboys, where it was a quote-unquote close game, and people were, hey, the Panthers held their own against the Cowboys and whatever the hell else they're saying. Go back and watch that game. That could not be further from the truth. I think maybe in the first half they did. The Cowboys defense does not look really good, and I'm not saying that they're as good as the Chiefs, but I think if you had to compare a team to the Cowboys, it would either be the Bills or the Chiefs, but the Bills actually have like a somewhat decent defense, and the Chiefs don't. The Cowboys they're trying to kind of create that same sort of play style where they can pass on you all day, they can run when they need to, they're going to put up some points on offense, but when they don't have the ball, they're really hoping that you either just make a mistake or that they can get a takeaway, because their defense is not that great still. So the fact that the Panthers were able to maybe keep up with them in that first half doesn't really shock me. The reason that game looked close is that, again, the Cowboys were up by 22 points in the third quarter and just totally went to sleep and let the Panthers, kind of tire themselves out and get back in the game, and it come down to just 8 points. So I'm really excited to be able to fade the Panthers after this week, especially if Christian McCaffrey takes longer than we expect to get back. He's in a couple spots moving forward where we can look to maybe fade them. I know that they do have a scheduling advantage next week, so maybe next week we don't go against them, but sooner than later we're probably going to start going against the Panthers based on the strength of schedule outlook. So those are the strength of schedule updates, but I do want to go over some Madden updates here for you, and just really I wanted to show you how to break down kind of how to read some of these numbers that we look at, because I know every week I show you guys a spreadsheet and you hear what I'm saying, and a lot of you like the picks or you hear the picks, and you know what I'm talking about. But as far as breaking these things down and looking at the numbers and what story the numbers trying to tell us, either you don't give a shit, which is totally cool, I don't blame you, or you're not really sure what you're looking at. You're just like, yeah, idiot, keep showing me numbers, cool. I want to break these down for you. We're going to go game by game. I'll try to make it quick, but obviously it's going to take a little bit of time. So if you need to take a shit, take a piss, whatever, pause it, go do it, come right back. Let's start off with the Bills. So the Bills are playing the Chiefs this week, so obviously a great game. I think everybody wants to watch this game. It's going to be the Sunday night game. And kind of how do these teams match up, at least on paper? So the Bills are a heavy pass team, and they pass 56% of the time. This number is actually skewed because they have had the third easiest strength of schedule so far, as mentioned here. But they also have these big leads. And I'm not saying like in the fourth quarter. I mean like even in the third quarter. They have big leads. So they probably will pass more if they need to or if they want to. But they have just been able to run the ball the entire second half of most of their games and come out with the wins. And so these numbers actually look a little bit closer to each other than I think they would really like to use or utilize. The Chiefs, on the other hand, obviously pass a lot. They're passing 59% of the time, running 41% of the time. The success rate, though, the Chiefs have 64% success rate, run or pass. So that means you basically are not stopping this fucking offense. I don't care what you do. I don't give a shit if you get the whatever Bears team that was. I don't care. You're not stopping this offense. It's so difficult. Like I said before, the only way you can slow them down is to get pressure on Mahomes, but not blitz Mahomes. You have to have an amazing front four to get people in his face, to get him to move off his spot. But you have to do that while you're also playing defense on guys like Kelsey and Hill and not letting them get open. Because if you blitz 6 or 7 or 5, one of those guys is open for a quick route, and Mahomes is going to find him. He's going to probably read your blitz ahead of time, and they're going to keep moving the sticks on you. You might stop them from making a long bomb, but they're going to keep the ball. And they're just going to kill you that way. They're going to paper cut you to death. The Bills, on the other hand, have a 52% rate, run or pass. So very similar, maybe not as effective, but their offense is really, really good. Their offense, they can do whatever the hell they want. Now, keep in mind, again, some of this is because of their early leads. The other team is not really trying to stop their run so much because they don't care, really, if the Bills are running in the first and second quarter. They're trying to stop guys like Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox, and they're kind of maybe giving up some of those runs. So these numbers may be just a little skewed, but still, it's a good offense. Now, where this gets a little bit tricky, though, is the personnel usage. So both these teams use 11. The Chiefs use 11 and 12, and they both have high success rates. As far as where the defenses are strong, the Bills' defense is strong against 12. So when the Chiefs try to use a 12 defense or try to use a 12 personnel on offense, the Bills have the right personnel to slow that down. If you're not familiar with the term 12, it just means you have one running back, one running back, 2 tight ends. 11 means you have one running back, 1 tight end. So they know how to stop a 2 tight end set. That is the Bills. The Chiefs, on the other hand, they're not really good at stopping anything, but if you run an 11, that's probably where they are best at on defense. They only give up a 57% success rate, which is still really high. Like I said, their defense is just garbage, but really what they're hoping for is they're hoping that you make a mistake. You throw a pick, you maybe take a bad flag, something happens to kind of stall out your drive, and it's not necessarily their players. The only one that I would really be concerned with here is like Chris Jones, because just he's amazing at getting in the backfield. He knows how to get off of blocks, and he can kind of destroy a play. So they're hoping for just like 1 or 2 times throughout your drive that they can disrupt you, or that you take a bad penalty, or that you make the mistake, and that way they can get back on offense and keep putting up points on you. I think both of these teams are really weak against what the other does very well, and the other team is going to be able to do whatever the hell they want to do, and it's going to come down to who makes a mistake first and who makes the most mistakes. So the Chiefs, I know you're looking at their schedule or you're looking at their win-loss total, and they're 2-2. Keep in mind the 2 losses that they had, when they played the Chargers, they had 4 turnovers. And so they really did kill themselves in that game by just continuing to give the ball to the Chargers, especially on short fields. And then the other loss they had against the Ravens was probably not going to be a loss other than Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbling the ball at the end of the game. So they killed themselves in both of these games. They made mistakes to lose the game. The other teams, yes, they won, but I wouldn't say that those teams took it from the Chiefs. It's more like the Chiefs just kind of handed them the win in these, and I think they are turning the corner where they're realizing they have to clean up those mistakes, and it's going to get better for them as the year goes on. In this game, I really do think it's going to come down to just whoever the hell has the ball last. So I'm not taking a side, especially because they're only giving you like 2.5 points right now. 2.5 points, if this total gets as high as I think it's going to, let's say it's at 54 or 56 even, 2 points doesn't mean anything. 2 points is not going to help you because it's most likely going to be decided by at least a touchdown. So next is the Broncos. I'll try to speed these up here now. Broncos, Steelers. Keep it quick and easy. Steelers like to use their 12 personnel, and they get 50% success rate when they use that 12 personnel. The Broncos are great at stopping the 12 personnel. They actually only allow a 38% success rate against 12. The Broncos should be able to stop the Steelers on defense and kind of limit that to maybe like a 40-45% success rate, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but that's going to be at least like 1 or 2 drives that get stalled out because of that defense. Broncos, on the other hand, they love to use their 12 personnel, and they have a 46% success rate with 12 personnel. The Steelers actually struggle to stop the 12. They don't have the linebackers that they need to stop a 2 tight end set, especially against guys like Noah Fant, and they allow a 63% success rate. I think that Noah Fant himself is going to have a great day. If you watched the game last week, Drew Lock loved going to Noah Fant, and whether it's Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater in this game, Noah Fant's going to have a good day. He's going to get a lot of usage out of this. If it's Bridgewater, I think the Broncos can pull off the win here. If it's Drew Lock makes this offense horizontal. They're having to play left to right instead of forward and backwards. And if you're trying to nickel and dime this Steelers defense all the way down the field, and you're asking Drew Lock to be perfect on like a 15, 16, 17 play drive, he can't do it. He's not that guy. So either way, I think this game, again, is a really low-scoring game. I do think this one's going to be like a 21-14, maybe, as like at the high end of this. But, again, if it's Drew Lock, I think the Steelers pull off the win here. Drew Lock just makes some mistakes that kill him. The Browns this week are playing the Chargers, and this is a game I'm really interested in watching because of, just football. Obviously, these teams I like, but I like the way these teams match up against each other. It makes it really interesting. The Browns love using 12 personnel, and they have a 55% success rate against the 12 personnel, or in 12 personnel, I should say. The Chargers are terrible at stopping the 12 personnel. They give up a 61% success rate. So the 12 personnel is really good when you have 2 tight ends on the field because it allows you to do 2 things. It allows you to run because you have more blockers in for your running back. You have heavier personnel in there. You have these big linemen right next to more big tight ends, and your back, your halfback, whether they put in Kareem Hunt or Chubb, should have some more blocking, a few open lanes, and be able to take that, kind of run with that. Also, the Chargers have those 2 high safeties who, they'll come down and they'll make the play and stop the run eventually, but it just takes a little bit longer for them to get to the running back, especially if he's coming off an open lane, and make that tackle when they're having to run up from 15, 20 yards back and make that tackle. Aside from that portion of it, when you have guys like Nick Chubb who can run over a safety, it's kind of dangerous to try and stop that 12 because if there is an open lane, you're saying he's got like one guy to beat, and if he can run over our safety, he's got open field in front of him. We're going to have to just race him down. So that, again, all of that, to me, kind of leans to the Browns winning this game based off of being able to run effectively, kind of maintain possession of the ball, slow it down, not ask Baker to do anything. And by not asking him to do anything, you're kind of limiting his mistakes. The Chargers, on the other hand, love to use 11 personnel. They have a 58% success rate when they're in 11 personnel. The Browns actually have the corners to shut that down. They only allow a 41% success rate against that 11 personnel. Now, again, keep all of this in mind. You always have to kind of use that like strength of schedule as a lens to see all of this. The Browns have had the 10th easiest strength of schedule so far. So this could be a little bit skewed, and it could be that they just haven't played a lot of great receivers or a lot of great quarterbacks yet, although I will tell you they did play the Chiefs in Week 1, so that's going to be kind of a mark against that theory. But they can stop the 11 personnel, and it does not help that the Chargers, at least to date, have not been a very aggressive team. Yeah, they've had Mike Williams have some big games, but they don't use him in this big, long, deep threat kind of thing. They like to take slant routes and in routes and just, again, kind of paper cut you to death, take these real conservative routes that should be very, easy for Herbert. It should keep the sticks moving, and just, again, they want to play that perfect game that just, we're going to keep the ball, we're going to take our time, and you're going to have to, we know you can't stop this kind of offense, so you're going to have to hope we make a mistake, and we're going to have to hope that you maybe make a mistake and leave somebody open in coverage, and we'll get a big play that way. I don't think the Browns are going to make those mistakes, and I don't think that this is a game where the Browns can't recover from a mistake. To me, all of this points to an under, and that's one pick I wanted to give you guys today, and I'm sorry I didn't lead with this, but that is probably my favorite pick for this week, and I'm putting it in the description if you didn't already see it. But the Browns and Chargers under 48.5. Now, a couple things about that. One, this line has already been bet down. It's bet down to 47. A couple of algorithms and points that I have here, just like right here, have it at 21-20, which would give you a 41-point game. And that also is in accordance with the Madden algorithm, which says it should be like a 1-point spread in favor of the Browns. My grading system has it 21-27. Now, this has it in favor of the Chargers. This is a game, like I said, that both teams have ways to score. They both have ways to move the ball, but they are both very slow ways of moving the ball. You're not going to see these big 80-yard touchdowns like you will with the Chiefs. You're going to see a lot of, let's run on first, let's run on second, because we're getting 5 yards a clip here. So let's just keep running with the Browns. And that's going to run the clock. It's going to keep everything moving. And by the time you know it, you're going to look up and say, oh, shit, it's the middle of the second quarter already. The Chargers, even though they're going to be passing more, it's going to be a 5-yard pass to Keenan Allen, a 5-yard pass to Jared Cook. It's going to be a 5-yard pass to Mike Williams. And it's going to be slow moving, not a lot of scoring, a lot of just kind of keeping the clock going. And before you know it, it's going to be like, wow, okay, we're in the third quarter already, and it's like 10-7. Again, all of this leads to the under. Whether you like the Browns or the Chargers here, I think you could really argue it either way. Like I said, I personally think the Browns will win this game. I think that Nick Chubb is just going to have a field day. And if you got a fantasy or daily or whatever, get Nick Chubb and or Kareem Hunt in your lineup, because I think this is their blow-up game. But more importantly, as far as betting is concerned, regardless of who wins this game, I do not see this going over 48 points. Like I said, in the instance that the Chargers win, I have them winning a 27-21 kind of game. If the Browns win, I have them winning a 21-20 game. 47 points is pretty much, I think it's right there, because the 48 is what I have it if the Chargers win. 41 is what I have if the Browns win. So what I did is I bought it up from the 47. I actually bought it all the way up to 48.5. At the books that I use, that is only at minus 135. Again, my cap is probably like minus 135, maybe minus 140. If I really, really liked something, I might go up that high. But at that, it's kind of iffy. The minus 135 is about where I draw this line at. So if you get it right now, and you see a 47 at whatever book you're using, you should still be able to buy it to the under 48.5 and keep it right at about minus 135. Go grab that pick, guys. This is something I really, really like. I think this game, no matter how it plays out, no matter who wins, I think this game is going to be under 48 points, or at 48 at the very, very max. go grab that. Again, I've added that, and it's in the description below. Next is the Cowboys. Cowboys personnel, they love using the 12. They love using Schultz and Jarwin. Have a 65% success rate that way. The Giants are actually weak against the 12 and the 11, but they allow 51% success rate. So they're weak against it, but their defense overall is good. So they're not, extremely weak against that. The Giants do love using the 12 personnel as well, especially with Evan Ingram back. They have 58% success rate. Cowboys are weak against the 12 personnel. They allow a 55% success rate. So while I don't think that the Giants will really put up a lot of points in this one, I can see them being successful in moving the ball and scoring and kind of keeping it close, or at least keeping it somewhat competitive. And I can especially see them making this like a backdoor cover, because it's 7.5 right now, or last I checked it was. Which is, again, why I didn't want to just take the Cowboys minus the 7.5. I also think you're paying a little bit of a tax because it's the Cowboys, because everybody's saying this is the last, or this is one of the teams that's 4-0 against the spread. It's just, it's the Cowboys. Everybody knows them. So I'm not taking them straight up. And I would probably, if you asked, I'd probably say to maybe stay away from the Cowboys minus 7.5, especially with this kind of personnel weakness here. Now, again, keep in mind, Giants have had the 9th easiest strength of schedule. So that's, again, the lens we have to look through this. But I see the Cowboys winning this one. I don't think they'll really have a problem with it. I don't think it'll be in question. But, again, I do think the Giants will keep it closer and maybe get that backdoor cover with the 7.5. Patriots here. So Patriots, they are playing the Texans. Again, this is one where I love the Patriots, and I love to I want to dice this game up every single way. I want the Patriots first quarter. I want the Patriots for the full game. I want the under, everything. So on the teaser, we have the Patriots -3. We also had the Patriots-Texans under 41. The one other play I'd be looking at here is the Patriots for the first quarter. I haven't added it just yet. I'm still looking for a couple lines on that one. I really have only seen one so far, and it was like Patriots -2.5. So it's possible that I'll take that, but as of right now, it's not official pick. Just kind of a lean still. So just be on the lookout for it, and also keep in mind whatever the vig is, because if you see like -2.5, but it's -160 or something, just stay away from it. Patriots, though, they love using 21 personnel. They have a 53% success rate. Makes sense. They have Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. The Texans are actually really weak against the 12, and they allow a 63% success rate. So this is another game where I think you're going to have a huge day for Jonnu and Hunter Henry, or at least one of them. The Patriots, their tight ends right now, and I think this is Hunter Henry's rating, is rated at 86. The Texans have a 70 for all their linebackers as an average. The Texans don't have anybody to match up with those tight ends, and if Bill is the Bill I remember, he's going to use these guys. It's going to be a coming out party for one or both of those tight ends. Mac Jones is probably going to have some good numbers because those guys are going to put up some stats for him. Probably a lot of yak and probably a touchdown or two. So Mac Jones should look good in this game. The other side of the ball here, the Texans like to use 11 personnel. They like to get Brandon Cooks in like this one-on-one coverage and just kind of utilize the few pieces that they do have. Now Davis Mills, obviously not good, has put up a lot of really bad balls in general. He throws a bunch of ducks. He doesn't know how to read a defense. He makes bad decisions. They do have kind of an offensive line issue, so he gets a lot of pressure on him. And to top that all off, the Patriots are actually really good against the 11 personnel. They only allow a 44% success rate, so the Texans are going to look even worse than they have been looking. So if you wanted to take the Patriots straight up, the -9, I still think the tease is the better way to go, just because the Patriots could totally take their foot off the gas like the entire second half. But if you wanted to do it, I don't hate you for it. Again, I'm leaning towards the teaser, though. Next is the Rams. Rams love to use the 11 personnel. They have a 58% success rate with that 11 personnel. The Seahawks allow a 53% success rate in 11. It's actually what they are worst at guarding. That's the best that they are at guarding. They have a defense that's just not good right now. So they will allow some plays to that 11 personnel. And I think the Rams are going to be able to kind of, just do what they want. On the other side of that, though, the 12 personnel is what the Seahawks like to use, and they have a 58% success rate. The Rams' defense, again, isn't good either. They allow a 52% success rate against 12 personnel, and that's actually what they're best at defending. So this is another situation where, this is probably going to be what we are best at stopping, but we're not good at it anyways. So you're still going to get some yards. You're still going to get some points. I see both these teams having good days as far as like statistics are concerned, and you're probably going to end up with a higher scoring game. I do see this one ending up like as a 27-24, 28-24 kind of game, something like that. The only thing I would say here is that when it comes to the personnel usage that these teams want to use, the Rams want to use 11. Their receivers have about a 7-point advantage over the corners for the Seahawks, where the Seahawks, they want to use their tight ends, or at least they want to keep them in to block, and they have a 77 over, it's an advantage over the 73 of the Rams linebackers, but it's still under 80. So even if they utilize their game plan and they focus on their tight ends or the 12 personnel set, I don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points to keep up with the Rams. So again, this is one that I don't really want to bet on as far as like sides are concerned, even really totals. But if I had to lean one way or another, I'd probably be taking the Rams right now. Ravens are, they are a run team, right? And they love using the 21 personnel. This is one we have not seen yet, at least that I haven't mentioned yet. 21 personnel means you are using 2 running backs, 1 tight end. So it's another heavy personnel set, but instead of having 2 guys on the line, you have 2 guys in the back like an I formation. They have a 70% success rate with that formation. So whatever running back they put back there has been pretty successful, and they've gone through like a whole rotation of running backs already. But one of the reasons that works so well is Harbaugh knows how to draw up these blocking schemes to get these guys open. So you do have Mark Andrews on the end, who is a great blocker. You have a decent offensive line, even with all the rotations and the injuries and all that kind of stuff. And then you have a lead blocker to take on that first tackler that may come through the line. So you're going to break out a couple times, at least a couple times throughout the game, with just a running back having an open lane, with the lead blocker maybe taking somebody out for him. And so they should be able to run the ball relatively effectively. Now the Colts actually do stop the 13 personnel really well. 13 is 1 running back, 3 tight ends. They only allow a 45% success rate to that kind of play style or personnel set. Now obviously it's not the same. 21 is not the same as 13. But what a 13 is another form of heavy personnel set, which tells me that the Colts, they have the linebackers and the defensive linemen to kind of stifle these running attacks. They know how to read the runs. They know how to get off their blocks. And while it may be a little bit of a different setup when you're using a lead blocker instead of just another tight end, at the end of the day, it does mean, the linebackers are probably going to come down and sniff out some of those runs. On the other side of the ball, the Colts like to use the 12 personnel. They are 49% success rate with that personnel. Same thing here. We're just in the sense that the Ravens are good at stopping a 21 personnel, which again, 2 running backs, 1 tight end. Not as great at stopping the 12 personnel, but again, same thing I was just saying. They are good at sniffing out these runs and using these heavy personnel sets and kind of knowing how to get off their blocks with these. So this is another game where I don't see there being a lot of scoring. I think it's going to be a slower game. I think both teams are going to run as long as the other team allows them to run. I do think the Colts actually have a chance here to keep it close. And if it's a close game with 2 running teams, it could go either way. It really just depends on who makes the mistake, who maybe gives up a fumble or whatever, takes a bad sack. But I don't want to touch the side. I think that the -7 is just too much because if the Ravens win this game, it's probably going to be like Ravens Ravens by 4, something like that. But there is always a possibility that the Colts take a bad play, Carson Wentz throws a bad pick or whatever, and the Ravens do win by 10. So that 7 number is just really off for me. If you wanted to tease it one way or the other, I think that would be fine. But I'm not taking that straight up. I instead really like the under in this game. The line right now, I believe, is at like 47. Again, I'm not making that an official pick, not the under 47. But if you wanted to add this to a teaser, if you have something else that you heard me say that, hey, I want to tease this, or I have maybe one leg of a teaser I really like and I don't have another one that you've said so far, this might be a game you look to tease. Again, I personally am not betting this game. I'm just telling you right now, so it's not on the pick sheet or anything like that. But if you decided, you know what, I want to take this under somewhere, that would probably be the way I would go. One other way to look at this would be the first quarter. The Ravens putting up at least a field goal or a touchdown in the first quarter, with the Colts coming out really slow most of the time and not being able to do much of anything in that first quarter. So you could take like Ravens -1 for the first quarter. 49ers, and this is the last one that we have to go over today. 49ers, they like using their 12 personnel, and I don't blame them. You know, they have guys like George Kittle and Dwelly that can make something happen in their 12 personnel. They have had a 68% success rate with that 12 personnel. The Cardinals actually really struggle to stop the 12 personnel. They allow a 56% success rate. Now, I don't want to say this is George Kittle's breakout game because it's George Kittle. We all know he's great. But I do see him having some really good numbers here. On the other end of the ball, though, the Cardinals love using 11 personnel. They have a 63% success rate with that 11 personnel. The 49ers, so far, have been pretty good at stopping the 11 personnel, but a few things that I want to bring up about that. They only allow a 44% success rate. However, they have lost some corners recently. They have lost a lot of secondary members. Some guys are rotating around. And they have also had the 11th easiest strength of schedule so far. So they have had a easier game or easier schedule against lesser opponents, teams that didn't mind running the ball. They have not played a team like the Cardinals. They have not played a team that with a mobile quarterback like the Cardinals. They did play Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts, for whatever reason, was not really asked to run around a lot in that game. So I don't know really how you want to consider that. But I do think this is a game that gets maybe higher scoring than people are expecting, because the 49ers are putting in Trey Lance, and the Trey Lance experience last week did not look so good. But let me also say this: Trey Lance he's not been able to run the Trey Lance playbook. Kyle Shanahan has plays for Trey Lance. He has a playbook for Trey Lance. He has an entirely different offense for when Trey Lance is in the game. He's going to pull that out this week, I'm assuming, and he's going to show us what Trey Lance is good at, what he wants him to do, and what Trey Lance can do to make the rest of the team better. So I do expect a little bit of a different offense from the 49ers, but at the end of the day, when they have to utilize this 12 personnel and they're going to use George Kittle to really keep their offense going, that's totally fine, but it's going to take, again, a long time. It's going to be slow moving, and you are asking a rookie quarterback to come in and execute flawlessly like a 15 or 12, let's say 12 to 16 play drive every time he gets in there to score. Because it's probably going to be like run, pass, pass, and then maybe mix in a bootleg here and there, and then just kind of keep that going. Where the Cardinals, on the other hand, don't need to do that. The Cardinals can have a huge pass to Christian Kirk. They can have DeAndre Hopkins get open. They can have Rondale Moore have a huge bomb down the field. So when you are asking the 49ers to be perfect with the rookie quarterback, I think you're putting him in a bad spot. You're not setting him up for success, especially if and when the Cardinals get out to a lead. If the Cardinals can get out to an early lead in this game, the 49ers are going to be forced to have to get out of their game plan. They're going to be forced to have to use Debo more, to have to use Brandon Ayuk more, and they're going to be forced into using Trey Lance as this downfield thrower, which he can be, but he's still a rookie. He's still really raw. He still makes mistakes. I can almost guarantee you right now, there's going to be one pass that he passes too hard, and it either goes off his receiver's hands or a defender tips it or whatever, and it ends up in a pick. And I'm calling that right now. That's probably what's going to happen here, and that's why I have the Cardinals winning this game, and that's why we took the Cardinals -4.5. So that's it, guys. I know this was a longer video. Thank you for sticking in there with me if you stayed through the whole thing. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions on any of these numbers, where they come from, how to use it, anything else like that, let me know. If you want a copy of the coaching report card sheet, again, just let me know. I have sent out, I believe, 2 or 3 so far this week, and it's really just going to be an email to you where you can go through all these numbers on your own time. But thanks again. Have a great day, and good luck.